And welcome back to Creative Thinkers. My name is Miguel Valenzuela, and as always, we have a very special guest. Today we have Stephen Ingle, but he's going to tell us a little bit about who he is and what he does. Hey, Stephen, welcome.
Thanks for having us. I'm a co-founder and art director for Creative Kids, and our mission is basically to fulfill art education with leadership through technique and working with kids throughout this community. So we're working with kids in after-school settings, we're developing curriculum, we work in hospitals, and collaborate with other nonprofits and organizations.
So having this entity here, how in the world do you incorporate it literally into, let's say, a middle school? How do you guys do that? How do you make the connection, and what exactly do you do with them?
A lot of it is working with people and finding where we are a fit to be a tool to help the educators or our partner or another educational institution find a way to reach the kids and give them a spark of interest, but also give them fun while they're learning. So it's not necessarily work, but it's becoming something they look forward to in their day, something that they've accomplished, something that they built with their heart and their brain. And I think that brings them back more and more. And the partners that we have in the organization and foundations we work with see that. And luckily, we've had great results with maintaining those partnerships and working together to help El Paso.
You know, one of the things that I found really compelling about what you actually do here is that the main idea here is creativity, and you guys bring it to fruition by actually making works of art. How does the artwork itself help the kids build their self-esteem, create a new persona maybe, or come out of maybe a negative place and move into a positive place? How is the artwork actually doing that for them?
I think it opens up the possibilities because a lot of us say we can't. And when we find something that's right in our face that we did with ourselves, in the sense that I learned the technique, I achieved what I wanted, and I'm proud of it, that lights a fire inside of you to learn more, and it gives you that work ethic and that energy to keep going forward. And I think that's what's provided, and that's why the artwork that we have here, I think, is at the highest level that we can get, because our kids care and they love what they're doing.
Can you give us an example of maybe a group of children, where they're coming from, who you're helping specifically, like maybe migrant children, something like that?
Yeah, so we have a number of programs. We're working out in Fabens and San LA that we're partnering in after-school programming out there and fulfilling that. We work in the hospitals here at Sierra Providence with kids that are battling cancer and terminally ill. We partnered with the Boys and Girls Club that after-school programs we're running. They have 5 sites that our staff's out there working in conjunction, not only with what they need to do in catching up with their studies, but providing something that helps them to learn more and be mentored and become a better person. And then we have kids that are coming in on Saturday with the United Way that went through the Walmart tragedy that are working with us. And we've been doing that now for 3 years, and
that must be
so
really exciting for an individual who has been through a tragedy like that to kind of move on. How do you feel about helping these individuals through those trials and tribulations that they go through?
Yeah, so
because that must be fascinating.
Well, it's not necessarily that I pigeonhole them as they've gone through this horrible thing. But what I did find is we brought them joy, and they started to come together as a team. They made friends. Right after that, I saw their parents and say, "What about me? I want a class." So I knew that the parents were interested too, and we started a parenting program.
Oh, really?
Because of the kids. When they were coming home happy, their parents wanted to be a part of that. So that was a new program that we started, and we've launched that with adults. So it's bringing the whole family together, and I've been watching that over 1,000 days, and it brings me a lot of joy.
Well, one of the things for me anyways as an individual, I studied art, I'm a classically trained artist, I make paintings and sculptures, this, that, and the other. But for me, it brings me joy. It makes me happy to have art be part of my life. Do you see that with these individuals that when they start, they're like, you were mentioning earlier, some of the students hate it, right? Like, why am I here? Do I have to be here? But then you totally turn them around. Can you give us an example of maybe somebody, a student that you were, hey, I think I've made a difference here?
Well, I've seen a lot of kids that, and I'm talking about 16-year-olds that come in with already, I'm too cool. I know everything and I've got it. I've seen a change when they learned something new and they realized through the time we spent together, we created a relationship.
Okay.
And that was built on trust. It wasn't about the art. And they saw some of the things that I gave to them, and it was magic to them.
Right.
It's like, he knows something, and I want to know it.
Yeah.
And over time spent, we built that relationship to a point where they're feeling good about themselves. And I don't care if you're 60 or you're 6, the first thing that comes out is, I don't draw, I can't.
Yeah, I'm not creative, right?
I don't know how to do it.
Right.
But I think when you have somebody that's there and you trust them, it becomes a lot better. And, and that relationship building takes time, but this is coming out of kids, all of my kids actually. We all change, we all move up, we find our strengths, we find our weaknesses, but yeah, it's a core group, a good team. And there's many kids, too many kids to name.
That's very true.
And it's really, I don't want to point out one, but I've seen some that have gone through a lot of stuff, and I've seen them smile. And
do you see the biggest change between the ones that have gone through some tragedy and then kind of do a complete 180 in front of your eyes? And how fulfilling is that for you?
Well, it's not only good for me and everybody around them, but they have somebody that's also become their ally, their teammate. And when their parents come up to me and they're telling me things in my ear, can I talk to you? My kid's feeling great. What's happening in here? Can I come? Can I do it next week? And when a parent is telling me that and they see the change in their behavior and that their grades are getting better and they're more positive, then something's working. And I think that's what we're bringing to these kids in these programs.
And so you make art here, but that's not the only thing that you guys do.
Right.
One of the interesting things that you showed me downstairs, which we'll look at a little bit later, is the historical aspect. For me, personally, it's extremely important for me to know where I came from in order to have a starting point to then end up somewhere else. Why do you guys actually teach a little bit of art history?
Art history is allowing us to see what came before us. It allows us to see the ideas that were presented. It allows us to see the benefits of where we are now. You know, we have phones in our pocket. You know, Rembrandt didn't have that, but we do. Right? So the possibilities are open, but it also encourages us to get these kids to think about their future. So we're talking art history so you can see what's happened and where do you want to go? Is it music? Is it fashion? Is it becoming an architect, an engineer? Do you like marketing? Are you going to get into commercials? And giving them those avenues that they're good at in their strengths and opportunities to use them, it's vital that they learn from what's been done and where we're going now.
Exactly. So, and it's not always linear. I think one of the things that I learned through life is that there are going to be a bunch of bumps in the road, right? And you actually are getting some kids with pretty big bumps in the road, right? How do you navigate through that kind of from A to B? How do you navigate that through what you're doing?
Well, I think my first thing is to realize that we all got problems. Everybody's got their own pain, their own thing they're going through, whatever it could be. But you get these moments to create from your own heart, your own mind. That's a gift to yourself by having that time to do it. It's a gift to others because they can look at what you created and have given. And I think everybody benefits by spending that time, not only in the art process, but being in a class, being mentored, be given leadership, and people around you that are supportive. And that's what I think we bring to the table. And I think that's what the kids get out of it, a community where people feel good and are helping each other.
How did you literally start this? Because this is an incredible place that you guys have. We actually were in school at the same time. How did you get to where you're at right now? Because I think for a lot of people, when they look at something of this magnitude, they're like, how am I going to achieve something like that? But you started kind of humble beginnings, right? Yeah, how did it kind of come about?
So what's crazy is my parents were professors at UTEP and I was in LA. My dad took me back for a semester. My grandmother had gotten sick. I met Andrea, my wife, then was my girlfriend, and I was working up at UTEP at Fox Fine Arts. She was working with special ed kids. She invited me to her classroom. It was in Canutillo at Bill Childress Elementary. I remember it. We worked for a little bit, and the principal went by the hallway, and she had told me that kids were skipping class because they were watching us paint. And
Really?
And then she met me and talked to Drea. And Drea at that point was still a student. She called the El Paso Times. They sent a reporter out. They took a picture.
Oh, nice.
Within 3 weeks, somebody at Sierra Providence from the marketing team called me and said, would you like to do that with kids battling cancer? So I said, yeah, absolutely. So we went in, and 3 hours later, after painting with those kids, I saw the doctors pinned to the windows, their parents, the nurses, and the lady walked up and she said, we'd love to hire you. And I said, you can't. And she goes, why? And I said, I think I'm going to start a company.
Oh, wow.
And within that, I had this epiphany, like, this is what I love to do.
Right.
And from that time on, we went into all these other environments and used art as a catalyst for education, for mental health, and for a variety of reasons, really.
Yeah.
After school programming, and it grew from there. So at 23, now hitting, 48, 49 almost, that's where we're at here. So it was a good journey.
Yeah.
I didn't know this was going to happen, but it became my purpose and my passion.
And I love that word catalyst, because then that's telling us that it's a work in progress. So you were doing something here in El Paso, but you may want to move into another city, another environment. What is it exactly that your kind of goal is at this point?
So I really figured out during the pandemic that we needed to create a real education of what art gives to kids and how educators can use it and the benefits of it.
Right.
So we're launching an ed tech platform. We've got a lot of foundations and funders that have helped us to make this. We have pitch decks that we've created to bring in other people with specialties in either video or content. And I project in the next 2 years we'll have that ready to market and scale. But it's also creating satellites around the country.
Right.
So it turns out that Tenet has 8 children's hospitals.
Oh, really?
So one of our goals is to get these tools around the country so that this artwork can go between these hospitals and be something of a relationship builder, like a pen pal, but also showing the feelings and what these kids are going through. So we'd like to create those satellites. We're going to launch that ed tech platform, and I want to do that before I retire. And then somebody else can come in here and take over this, and we'll have our exit strategy to move on.
We'll figure that out, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there,
That's
right?
it.
So you had told us that you wanted to show us around a little bit more, so why don't we go ahead and do that right now?
Okay,
Cool.
sounds good.
Let's go. So Stephen, you've brought us into this brand new environment. Where exactly are we?
So we're in the kitchen,
Okay.
and this just became another way that we taught the beauty of art, and cooking is an art form.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I find, that a lot of people think that art is the Mona Lisa at the Louvre Museum in Paris, France.
Right.
How often will somebody go to Paris, France to see the Mona Lisa? So you're bringing these other forms to us. Why in the world a kitchen though?
I think everybody loves to be in the kitchen.
Right.
And it's kind of the center of Olo that it became something that we were interested in because it taught kids how to read a label, what diabetes was.
Oh,
it brought us
wow.
all together to eat and share a good meal. Our kids were interested in cooking. And after a while, it just became a program because it not only fed the kids that were making art in the painting sense,
Right.
but it gave purpose to the other kids that wanted to pursue the culinary arts, which I think is important.
And it's not just about cooking. I think you guys have computers here. You guys do all different kinds of things. What else do you do?
So we have a full wood shop. We do welding. We're working downstairs with Photoshop and Illustrator, 3D printers. We do shoot small animation movies. We work with sculpture, clay, photography, silk screening. So almost anything you can think about to create something new, you got your hands on it here. If you want to.
One of the things that really compelled me about the name Creative Kids is the word creative. Our show is called Creative Thinkers. That's why I'm literally here speaking to you right now. But what exactly is creativity for you?
Creativity for me it was a place where I could go and just be with my thoughts.
Okay.
And as a kid growing up, that was the one thing I excelled at. And I knew once I got to college and did this thing with Drea that we worked with those kids, There was a ton of kids out in the community just like me. I'm dyslexic. I couldn't read or write very well, but I could draw.
Right.
And I was always the kid that was given, draw the United States. Okay. And I was the guy that was picked to do that.
Right.
I was getting D's and F's in school. And I just figured that there was a niche when I did this, that kids like me that were not given the opportunity to stay in school because they didn't feel connected.
Right.
I thought there was a need from having that experience with Drea. And it's just been something that I've seen the benefits of getting these kids reinvigorated about learning and staying in school and seeing how good they are.
And just making that connection, right?
Right.
How is it that you build that relationship between what they're creating as, let's say, a painting or a sculpture,
right,
and how do they bring that into the real world?
I think it takes time to build any relationship, especially one with trust. And there's good moments and bad moments, but I think mainly it's that we bring this opportunity for them to express themselves, learn something, along with their peers that are at their same age level, so they kind of have their clique that happens, along with feeling that camaraderie and the success of making something. I think that's what keeps them coming back for more.
And they absolutely love it, because I know that you guys have a rotation of about 40 weeks or something you were saying.
Right.
How does this actually work? What are the gears that are going on here at Creative Kids?
So a lot of it is the evaluation that starts with every kid. Where's their drawing level? Who are you? Where do you come from? What do you like to do? So we have kind of an onboarding of these kids and an evaluation. And then they're built from where they are, and we show them where they're going and the things they're accountable for to get there. And we're just there to support and teach work ethic, leadership, being honorable and spending time on the things you need to do to get better. And I think they see that we're there for them. And they come back with results that show us that they care about what they're doing and that the purpose is, I want to get better and I love what I'm doing here. So it's a good result.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that you mentioned was that you actually saw one of your students that had graduated from this entity. And how impressed you were with what they were doing. Give us a little bit of that.
Well, what's crazy is, down here in the Union Plaza, there's a building right here that's opened up with the tech business, and they're kind of side office space. And this kid, he's like 6'2". And when I say kid, I mean grown man now. Walks up
but you
to
met
me.
him as a kid.
Yeah, he was like 11 or 12 when I met him in the housing authority. And he goes, "Hey, Stephen," I couldn't place him. Because he's changed. Let's just be honest. And he's looking at me, "You remember me?" And I said, "No." And now he's a top real estate guy. He pulled himself up. He enlisted in the Army. He got his real estate license. He's got his own company.
Wow.
And he's located next door. And it was just, and
so kind of full circle here.
Yeah, I get that sometimes in the Walgreens or the Albertsons or whatever. And it is really good to have those feelings come back and see these kids move on.
So one of the things that I do in my class is it really fulfills me to have students come and say, "Thank you for teaching me these things that I didn't know before. You've really changed my life." How important is that to you now? I'm not sure if that's where you started. Right? How important is that for you?
I think to me, as I got older, I figured out that it's not all about you. It's more about others. And watching the kids succeed is one of the things that brings me joy. But another thing is watching them, and we're not trying to build artists. We're trying to build good people that make good decisions on what their purpose is and what they want to do, and then commit to the work ethic that it takes to get there. And when I see that makes me proud. But I think that's what I get out of it now, is watching somebody start here and go up to here with their personal goals and their aspirations.
So you're kind of giving them these tools that they can later use for life.
It's not necessarily about building an artist. It's about building a person that has a purpose and a passion and a drive and knows where they're going and wants to get there. That's what it's all about.
And when you started teaching kids, like kids with cancer and things like that, was it something that brought you to these kids as far as something that inherently in your heart, kind of like a person that is empathetic, and you said, "I think that's what I want to do"? Was this something that came from when you were a child?
I I think it started when this program started. You just saw the benefits of giving to others, and some of the things that happen in the hospital program or in our after-school programs and the obstacles that these families and kids are going through
Right.
really propel you to do more.
Right.
And I think that encouraged me to keep this thing alive and going. Doing the 12-hour days, writing the grants with my wife.
Lots of hours, right? Yeah.
The team that works with us that is giving all they got. That's when you start to see the wheels turn and the people really buy in, the parents,
Yeah.
our partners and everything.
Yeah.
That's what got me to a good place, from all that support from the community and all these other, we wouldn't be here unless we all felt something good.
That's very, very true.
Right.
One of the things that you're talked about is molding people. So when you first started, when you were younger, you wanted to mold a painting or a drawing.
Right.
And now you're molding people. So in your opinion, do you think now your masterpieces are the students themselves?
I think I feel good about when I see a person succeed. That's a masterpiece to me. It used to be, let's get into MoMA,
Yeah.
I'm going to have my show, and I'm going to be the best artist.
Yeah.
And that was my vision, that was my dream. But in life, I figured out that this is where I fit, and this is where I can do the most good.
Right.
Probably won't be the best artist in the world, but I did create something
Yeah.
that I think is monumental
Right.
and has left a legacy for my daughter, for the people of El Paso, and for me.
So where are you located? Because this is an amazing facility.
Yeah. So we're at 504 San Francisco in the Union Plaza district. It's right downtown by the train station. We're located 2 blocks from the Museum of Art, so we use that, walk our kids over there, and they're building the MAC.
Right.
So I think there's going to be a lot of synergy, and that was the reason for buying down here, is we wanted to be a part of downtown and the success of El Paso. So not many people know we're down here, but yeah, you can stop by anytime you want. We're here.
Very good. And how does one become part of your program?
Well, we have a lot of different programs that we're running, and it's usually through contract.
Okay.
But you can check us online and see if you fit in.
Right.
And if you do fit in, there is no tuition payment.
Oh, wow.
We do not charge our kids to be here. We work with partners and foundation and community individuals to make that an opportunity for our kids to have this programming,
Right.
support, mentoring, and leadership. So thanks to everybody that's done that for us and for the kids.
And in El Paso, from my experience, I feel like we need a lot more. How can the community help in that way, as far as art is concerned, creativity, and just these, in general, these ideas?
I really want some ambassadors out there that are a part of El Paso to talk good about us at other places.
Right.
I'd love people to come in and say either I can volunteer or I will support some financial way. But there's a lot of opportunities online for people to look at our webpage and check out what we do.
Right.
And if it fits into something you want to be a part of, we welcome everybody to give us a call and see how we can make a fit or
Yeah,
help
just
each
come
other.
together in some way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So as you know, our show is called Creative Thinkers. Creativity is very important in everybody's life.
Sure.
There are many individuals, I would say 90-95%, that think that creativity is not important. How, in your opinion, is creativity important for the masses? What does it give us? What does it offer?
I just feel that a lot of us get stuck in moments and we don't see opportunities that are right in front of our face.
Right.
We're in such a fast-paced society that we need to slow down and think, what do I want? What should I make with my life, my time? Because you can't buy time,
True.
right? So
And once it's gone, it's gone. That's
it's
for
gone.
Sure. Yeah.
You can't buy it back. But the creative process is taking a walk and thinking about the things that you admire and bring you joy, and looking at other things around you that came up for an inspiration for you, something new to think about. Creativity has spurred on a lot of the inventions in this world.
Oh, I
And
think
think
all, yeah.
And I think it's
Yeah.
an asset going forward for the youth that are coming up in this new age. But I also think we don't take the time to recognize that art is all around us and
Right.
appreciate it. So creativity really allows us to move forward as the human race, but also connect on many levels. A good song, a great painting, a great building,
A great meal.
a great meal, even fixing your backyard, whatever it
Yeah.
takes for you to feel that you build something with your own two hands and your mind, I think it adds to what you're doing on this earth and in life in general.
Yeah, and also one of the most important things for me is to teach. When you teach the students,
Right.
what avenues do you use for that specifically? I know you use art in particular, but what else do you guys use for the students themselves?
I tell stories, and one
Very
of the
nice.
things is stories there's a hero, there's a villain, there's
Right.
something that happened. So Van Gogh cut his ear off.
Yeah.
You know,
You'll
you
never
tell
forget
Frida
that.
Kahlo went through this or that.
Yeah.
But I also tell the story of NASA, how they picked the 5 astronauts, the first
Right.
5 astronauts. And what they figured out was those astronauts, the only thing they had in common is they had a 4th grade art class.
Really?
And they were selected. So NASA invested all this money into, why did we pick you? And the only thing that you have in common is a 4th grade art class.
I didn't know
And it
that.
turns out, after all the studies, when you put a pencil down on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, you're making 30,000 decisions. Now, why do you need that as an astronaut? Because when you're up there, you have to work from your gut, your creativity, and how you feel. You act on emotion. You don't have time to open the textbook and go through it. Then they did more research, and what they found out is that this is an asset for an astronaut, because up there, creative thinking and coming up with a solution without reading the manual or looking at anything, that's what fulfills a person that's working from their gut and their mind and
wow.
creativity to be a problem solver and overcome anything that could put their life in jeopardy.
So you're telling me that if somebody wants to become a physician, or if somebody wants to become a gourmet cook, or a nurse, or a mathematician, art can be involved in that? And it should be?
Well, the creative thinking process allows you to look at an obstacle and come up with a solution. You become a problem solver. But people don't realize that that's a training too, to think outside the box and be able to develop, whatever field or environment it is,
Right.
look at the problem and creatively come up with a solution, and that's what the creative process gives you. You come up with your answer to fulfill the problem and come out with a successful solution.
So that's generally what you guys teach here, this whole idea of what creativity is, how they can use these things to their advantage, how by making artwork and creating actual tangible things, they can help themselves. So it's not a matter of me being an artist, it's a matter of me incorporating these ideas and concepts into whatever I'm going to do.
That's right. As long as you feel confident on your own ideas and you carry it forward, you can use them in any way you want. And we're not building artists here. We're building good people. And that's what it's about.
That's beautiful. So Stephen, thank you again for inviting us here to Creative Kids. What did you think?
Well, I thought it was really an enlightening talk, and I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to talk to the El Paso community and let them know what our mission and vision is. And hopefully they'll look us up. So thanks again.
Absolutely, it was our pleasure. So once again, my name is Miguel Valenzuela, and thank you for tuning in. If you guys need to get a hold of me, my email is mvalen31@epcc.edu, and we look forward to having you guys again next time. Thank you.